everyone, welcome back to the Cheap channel, the channel dedicated to all things cheap in the world of fragrances. In today's video, we are looking at 5 fragrances that I consider to be a classy, mature style on the cheap. If you're someone who is maybe 30 years or older and you want something that's not too youthful, that makes you smell more mature, more your age, more maybe professional, or make people take you more serious, these are ones that would work perfect for you. Or maybe you're just a younger guy who loves old school or older style fragrances. These will work perfect for you as well. These, I think, are ones that have a classiness to them. You can wear them more in formal occasions or more around a certain group of people that you want to seem more upscale. Or if you do want something that does have that more mature, hyper masculine edge to it, these will work perfect. And to start things off, we're going to talk about this one here. This is the Lalique's Pour Homme. This is the eau de parfum, but you can also find an eau de toilette, but I think the eau de parfum does have a little bit more dense richness about it. With this coming from the house of Lalique, it's going to be expected to have really good quality and not for a lot of money. Lalique has things that are very mature, upscale smelling. They're a French house and it definitely has that air about it, and all their stuff tends to go toward that mature, classy style, so this is right along with it. When you first spray this on, it's going to be very powdery, a little aromatic. You're going to get a good bit of florals in the middle and the background, and a lot of woodiness. You're not going to get a lot of citric brightness when you first spray it. I think the eau de toilette might have a little more brightness, but with the eau de parfum, you're immediately going to be hit with a lot of dense powdery notes. There is an iris note in here, which I think helps to add to that powdery kind of style. There's also cedar, there's sandalwood, adding in like a creamy woodiness, a little bit of amber on the dry down, adding a little bit of warmth and fill. You do get lavender and rosemary, adding in that herbaceous floral nature with things like jasmine and lily of the valley. So overall, you can think of this as a very dense wood, powdery floral fragrance. And you also do get some oak moss, adding in a little bit of an earthiness and a tad bit of greenness as it starts drying down. But what you really get with this on the dry down is something that will last forever, especially if it's on clothes, at least coming from the eau de parfum. I have had this to spray on my skin and my clothes, and it lasted on my skin almost the whole day, but I've had this to last on clothes for easily weeks going up to it. It's that oak moss and that woodiness that really makes it just hold on to your skin, especially onto your clothes, and it just does not let go. Gives it a lingering, musky, earthy herbaceousness, which is very interesting. And of course, it gives, like I said, that very masculine feel. Projection on this, depending on how much you spray, is going to be pretty good, pretty average. I think a good medium projection for the first hour. This thing is not holding back at all. It is really good, but this is going to tend to be more toward very mature guys. I think, like I said, middle age or older are going to appreciate this more. Has a little bit of a throwback feel, even though the first one came out, I think, in the 90s, and the EDP came out a little later, and I think it's been reformulated since. It still has that throwback style, but it makes it very classy, and I really do love it. I think I picked this up for like $35 at Fragrance Net. You can find it probably varying prices other places, so definitely check it out and see what the best price is to pick it up at. But absolutely amazing quality. Again, like I said, from Lalique, you're going to expect a good quality for a low price, and that's exactly what's in this one, and I really do like it. I highly recommend it if you want a good powdery, woody scent that pretty much lasts forever on your clothes. I would definitely recommend this one here. The next one to talk about is one that I've wanted to talk about on this channel for a long time, and so I made this video really based around it to talk about it and give me the chance to show it to you. It is this one here, Oscar de la Renta's Pour Louis. So what you're gonna get with this one is something that has that uber masculine throwback style. It came out in the 80s, and so it was an 80s powerhouse. I know it's probably been reformulated a lot since then, but I think it still pretty much keeps the same style as then. What you're gonna get with this is something that is very aromatic and spicy. It has a good bit of woodiness to it, and it has some both, you know, dark spices and light spices, a little bit earthy and a little bit animalic, that same kind of animalic, musky style that you'd expect from those older fragrances. And as we expected from these old style fragrances, it has a note breakdown that is just goes on for miles. It just has everything, including the kitchen sink in it. But what you are gonna tell most noticeably is like some aldehydes. It is gonna have an aldehydic quality like those older styles usually do. You have some oak moss, you have some leather, you have vetiver, you do have some spices like cinnamon, you have herbaceous notes like basil, sage, and caraway. Just a lot of different facets in this, but all of those spicy aromatic notes mixed together gives me a nuance of something like a Coca-Cola or any kind of generic cola. It has a little bit of that fizziness, which I think the aldehydes help to add to, but it is unmistakable. If you think about cola or the name brand Coca-Cola, when you smell this, you are going to be blown away with how close it smells. It does dry down to being something that is very leathery, oak moss, vetiver based, very musky, has, like I said, an earthiness to it. And to talk about performance, it has varied with me in each situation I've worn it, but overall, you're gonna get a medium to loud projection for the first 30 minutes to an hour, depending on how much you spray on. And longevity is probably gonna be around 5 to 6 hours, depending on how much you spray and if it's on clothes or not, and how you're wearing it, how hot or how cold it is. But that's what I've generally gotten from it. But the CIs that you get in the air as it dries down, you still get a little bit of spices. It's actually very, very nice. A little bit sweet, almost ambery, but not too ambery, just a little hints of it here and there. Mainly you're gonna get those dry spices and that leather and that musk, but it still ends up being actually a fairly sexy masculine scent. I think a lot of people compare this to Chanel's Intense, almost like a cheaper alternative to it. Oscar de la Renta put this together very well. I think this is really the only masculine release they have, and most of the other stuff is for women, but still, this is very well put together, very smooth. Smells like a higher end designer fragrance. It is just super surprising with what you can get out of it. I think since mine's macerated over time, it's gotten way better. Super good, highly recommend that you pick this up if you want that fizzy Coca-Cola, the spices, aromatics, woods, and like I said, that little bit of animalic but retro feel. I highly recommend this one here. It is super interesting and I really think you're gonna try it out. The next one I want to talk about is one that I actually got based off a recommendation from Dan at the Mr. Smelly channel, and he talks about it almost in every other video, and eventually I just had to break down and get it, and I'm glad that I did. It is this one here from Boucheron. It is Pour Homme, and this is the Eau de Parfum. Again, like Lalique's Pour Homme, there's an Eau de Toilette and an Eau de Parfum version, but I do think the Eau de Parfum has a little better performance, and it is a little denser and richer. What you're gonna get from this one is something that is very fresh, citric, aromatic, a little floral, and very fresh and musky. You do have some aromatics and herbaceous notes like coriander and basil, but the front, what you're gonna really get is a strong amount of citrus. There's really no specific note of citruses. It just says overall citrus. So I'm assuming it's almost like a mixture or an accord of them, probably a mixture of things like orange and lemon and mandarin and grapefruit and things like that. You can definitely tell it's a super, almost rindy, sour citrus, and it has behind it a good bit of musk, almost aldehydic in a way, and it has almost that animalic kind of masculine style like most of these have. And then you get more into the middle notes. There's a lot of people who say there's a noticeable rose note in this, but I don't really pick that out, but I do pick out a noticeable floral kind of accord and nuance to it. And of course it dries down having some musk, some sandalwood, and some vetiver. I do get more of the vetiver and the white musk that's in this, adding that airiness and freshness. Performance on this has varied with me from moment to moment, but overall, I'll say that projection on this is a strong medium for the first hour or so, depending on, again, how much you spray on. It is an eau de parfum, so it will tend to sit closer to the skin sooner, but it does have a fairly good longevity. I think about like 6 to 7 hours or so. And as usual, you might get a little better longevity if you spray it on your clothes, but again, it depends on really how you wear it. As far as seasonality, which I really didn't mention with the first two, this one is really the only good fresh one out of the list we got here. Probably the one that's gonna be more appropriate for spring and summer, the hotter weather. Again, that fresh, bright, almost aldehydic citrus makes this way better in the hot of heat. The first two we did with those spices and the aromatics and dense woods and leathers, I think I'd save those for more of the cooler weather, but this one you can really wear strong in the spring and summer, and maybe even a little bit in the fall on the warmer side. But again, this is going to be more of the mature, classy side of citrus, not really the bright, sweet, you know, almost ambergris and Broxton style of citrus. This is going to be way more on the harsh, animalic, aromatic, musky, heavy side of citrus. And if you do like that style, you will definitely love this one. As far as availability, I've been able to find this on every online discounter, from Fragrance Buy to Fragrance Net to Joma Shop to all across, and prices of course will vary all over, but I got this one from Fragrance Buy and I think it was around like $30 when I got it. But again, this is from Boucheron, which is a name brand jeweler, you know, high end, and this is an eau de parfum concentration, so you're going to spend a little more on the EDP than you are on the EDT, but I do think the eau de parfum does add a little more richness and better performance, and I really do enjoy it. So if you want something that is a mature, classy thing for the summer, you cannot go wrong with this one here. Now on to the next one, which is one that I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on because I believe I've talked about this one before in some live streams, and I'll continue to talk about it because I really do love it. It's one that you no doubt seen all across the cheapie fragrance community, and it's one that you're going to continue seeing because we all love talking about it, and it is like a hidden gem in the community. It is this one here from Jacques Bogart. It is Bogart Pour Homme. So really, I don't know what else to say about this fragrance that hasn't been said 100 times. Like I said, this is a love child in the cheapie fragrance community, and so there's not really a whole lot I'm going to talk about on it, but I am going to go through it as quick as I can. What you're immediately going to get from this is a very sweet, vanillic, lavender heavy forward, powdery and woody fragrance with some nuances of tobacco, and some people even get a cherry kind of note to it. Again, the notes you're going to get the most out of this is that lavender. You do have a little bit of citrus and some sweet florals like orange blossom and lily of the valley. And on that base note dry down, you get a lot of tonka bean, adding into a deeper powdery sweetness with some musk, some oak moss, and then you do get some cedar wood, which adds in a lot of that woody backbone to it, and a good bit of patchouli, adding into an earthiness as well. There's also some nuances, like I said, of tobacco, almost a little bit of an amber quality to it, a little warm and very sweet, even though there's not really a lot of notes in here to give a lot of sweetness to it. It's just that quintessential Bogart Pour Homme style of almost fruity sweetness. The fragrance that people tend to compare this to a lot is Xerjoff's Naxos, and recently I actually was able to acquire a sample of Naxos and wear it up, and I gotta say, this is extremely close to it. But the differences I found between this and Naxos is that Naxos is way more dry, not as sweet and not as filling as this one is, but Naxos also has more aromatics that are a little more realistic and a little more almost spicy, when this does not have as much of that aromatic herbaceous quality to it. But the thing that does stand out between the two is they both do have a musky, vanillic feeling in them, and of course the tobacco nuance between the two is very, very close, even though this does not have tobacco listed at all. So it's really almost like a strange phenomenon this even has that same kind of quality to it. But I also think that Naxos has way more of a mature, classed up vibe than this. I think it's because the sweetness in this makes it where it can go for either age range. As far as performance though, this is a very, very good performer, especially after you let it sit and macerate. You easily get a medium to loud projection for the first hour and a half to 2 hours with a gorgeous sillage in the air. You'll just want to keep smelling yourself, and other people want to keep smelling you, falling behind you as well. And as far as longevity, I've had this to last me a whole day, easily 8 to 9 hours, depending on how you wear it, obviously, but I've had it to go on almost into the next day on my clothes as well. It makes a very nice, smooth, vanillic, musky skin scent with a little bit of a woody backbone to it. It's just an absolute treat to wear. And as, like I said before, I think this one is going to be more for the colder seasons. Some people may think that it does have a little bit of freshness, enough where you can wear it almost all year round. And I would say you could probably wear it all year round. I would definitely back off the sprays when you're in the hot months of summer because, like I said, it's a loud performer, but I do think you could wear it in appropriate settings, especially on cooler nights of summer. But from spring, fall, and winter, it is no doubt a hit and will fit perfect in those seasons. And as far as availability, this one's probably gonna be the most available out of all these here and probably the better price as well. I think I picked this one up for maybe $13 to $14 at Fragrance Buy, and you're gonna find similar prices, some higher, some a little lower on different sites. Fragrance Net definitely has it, Fragrance Buy, even Amazon has it, and all across even things like Jumbo Shop and Perfume Box and so many others are no doubt gonna have it. I've even been able to find this at rack stores like Ross and Marshalls and TJ Maxx for a very good price as well. And really for that price, the quality that you get out of this and the performance and the scent profile that is copying or similar to is just amazing. Definitely a gem in the fragrance community, and among cheapies, it ranks head and shoulders above without a doubt. Again, it is mature, but I think it does have a classiness about it because of that soft vanilla muskiness, and that lavender adds into a little bit more masculinity, not making it too feminine. It did come out in 2004, but I really do think it'll fit in anyone's collection years to come, and I think it's hyper wearable, easy to pull off, especially if you wear it in confidence. And if you're a older guy who wants something that's mature but has almost a sexy sweetness about you, this is definitely one to pick up, and it will fit perfectly in your collection. And if you don't already have this and you've heard the hype about it, I would just go ahead, put it in your cart, and the next chance you get, and buy it. You will not regret it. I highly recommend it. I think everyone should own it. Now on to the fifth and last one here. It is one that really needs no introduction. It is a love child in the fragrance community, even more so than the Bogart Pour Homme. It is a gem. It is also very controversial, but it's been talked about by professional perfumers and collectors alike all through, and people hailing it as probably one of the best cheapies for quality that you can get. I personally really love it and been looking for a good chance to talk about it. It is this one here, none other than the Bentley For Men Intense. So this one has had contention after contention, arguments and controversies all about whether this one actually is a niche style for cheap or whether it was poorly made, roughly put together, or not even really wearable at all. Personally, I think the former part is correct. This is to me a absolute niche profile and quality for a really good price, so low and so good that you'll feel like you're stealing it. What you're going to get out of this, in case you don't already know, is a fragrance that is absolutely very masculine, almost bad boy-esque, probably most bad boy rebel kind of style out of all of these here. It is one that has a boozy sweetness about it, very spicy, little leathery and woody, has a little bit of dark florals and some incense about it, being very smoky. It has also a good bit of warmth about it. To me, it's very cozy. It has like a glowing amber effect to it. When I wear it, you get notes like black pepper, adding in a good bit of that spiciness. I know some people talk about the bay leaf note that's in this, but I really don't notice it that much. It's not really very herbaceous or very green to me, but it does have a good bit of cinnamon adding into that spice. Of course, you do get some rum adding in that booziness to it, and a good bit of benzoin adding in that, again, that almost vanillic warmth about it. And you also get a good bit of cedar and woodsy notes adding in, again, that woody backbone, supporting everything, making everything feel complete. But it wasn't always love at first sight. I actually got a sample of this years back when I first started my fragrance journey, and I wore that sample, and to me, I just did not like it. I thought it was a little too mature, a little too almost old school. It had a harshness about it and something that I just didn't quite connect with. But I had the availability years later to get a full bottle of it. I heard people talk about it and hype it up, and I was like, well, I'm gonna try it out and see what I think about it. And when I got it in, got the full-size bottle, and I wore it up, I immediately fell in love with it, and I wore it multiple times in a day, multiple times in the same week, because I was actually getting addicted to how it smelled. It just had a smooth, like I said, a warm sweetness about it that just, it drew me in. I thought it was so just alluring and impressive with how good it was. And like some of these here, I did get varied performance with this, but overall, I would say projection that I got with this was medium to loud for that first hour, maybe almost hour and a half. Of course, depends on how much you spray on. Personally, I get that 6 to 8 hour on skin and maybe even a little more on clothes. But even so, overall, it is a amazing performer, and not even just the performance, but the scent profile itself is just a super good quality, amazingly smooth, and of course that's to be expected whenever the great and amazing Natalie Lorson was the perfumer for this one, as well as the original Bentley For Men. She's also did other fragrances that I love, including the whole Acre Noir line and even Bentley Momentum Intense. Amazing quality on all of those. She's just a master at taking synthetics and making them smell very natural and well put together, and making scent profiles that should definitely cost way more than they do. And as far as availability, you can really find this one anywhere for a very good price. I think I found this one for the full-size bottle for about like $26, $28, so not bad at all. I would say to definitely try this one out and test it if you can. You can buy testers and vials of this from different places. I think FragranceNet has it where you can purchase just a sample card vial of this one, but you can also go out to some retail stores like Belk where they have a Bentley section, and you can smell all of the Bentley fragrances, including this one, in person and trying this one out. But if you want to blind buy it, be aware that this is not going to be for everybody, even though I do hype this one up, and I will always hype this one up, and a lot of other people do as well. Never try it out for yourself and blind buy it without knowing the risks. You'll know that you may not like it, but for me personally, I think that you should try this out and see what you think about it yourself. Again, a boozy, sweet, spicy, a leathery and smoky incense fragrance that is just super hyper masculine, but yet bad boy, but also very classed up. Easily wear this in the colder months from fall through winter. Is just an absolute treat. I highly recommend that you try this one out and see what you think about it for yourself. And there you go, guys, my 5 cheapies. For those of you, if you want something that is more within your age range, or if you want something that gives you more of that mature, classy edge, any of these will do perfectly. I know most of these are probably more for the cooler months, but I know one of these is going to be way better for those hotter months of summer, even into spring. Whether you're looking for something that is more aromatic or woody, or something that's more powdery, musky, or maybe even something that's more citric, fresh or sweet, spicy, one of these is going to cover some of those areas. You get all bases covered with any of these 5. And if you own any of these and you like them or you don't like them, let me know what you think about it in the comments below, or which fragrances do you think that should be up here beside these ones that you think are on that classy, formal, but yet very mature edge, almost like rich money kind of vibes. Let me know in the comments below, and I will definitely give it a read. And if I don't have it, I'll try to pick it up the next chance I get. I love reading your comments and getting to reply back to you. Just the interaction we get to have in this community is something I really enjoy. So please let me know down below, and let me know what you think about this style of video if you enjoy it. And if you happen to be watching this video and you're not subscribed to the channel, but you do like what you see, please consider subscribing, hitting the notification bell, and giving the channel some support. There's a lot of things I would love to show you and for you to be right along with me on this cheap fragrance journey, and maybe I can help you discover something new along the way. And as usual, guys, that's all I have for today's video. Again, thank you for being here with me and for watching. I hope that you enjoyed it, and as usual, I will see all of you again in the next video. Be blessed.